Hello, this is Legna, and today I'm going to show you how to convert your plugin code from MV to MZ. But first, I'm going to show you what the code does originally in MV. So, bypass me talking to you. Okay, done. If we go up here and talk to the bats, or fight the bats, attack, 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 kill that bat, and kill that bat. And there it is. We have a unique victory message based on the actual actor. And then it skips the default one and just shows us what we got. And there we go. Let's show you the note tag so we know what that is to expect. Okay, so basically those are the note tags. And that should be it. Now let's get into coding. Currently I've copied some comments from a previous MZ plugin just to speed up the video really. We're going to update the title and the date and the URL. For the URL we're going to put my itch profile because I haven't created the specific page for this specific plugin yet. I can go back to add that later. Next, we're going to update the file name. If you have both the MZ and MV plugin, you may want to keep a tag like _MZ and _MV to differentiate the two. Then we're going to update the plugin description just so that it reflects the new plugin instead of the one I copied it from. So we're going to put it as 0.01, and I'm just going to copy it from the other plugin from MV because that was a requirement for MV. Let me just fix these little copy paste errors. Okay. And the WS here, done. Okay, so then we're going to update the plugin parameters, which are going to be identical minus the @text parameter. Since MZ uses a new plugin command window that allows user-friendly text, there's a new plugin parameter for text. That plugin parameter will allow you to have user-friendly what's the word? A user-friendly name for the command you're using. And then also the @param is going to be your actual reference whenever you're going in your code to grab that specific value for that parameter. So let's update this text. Okay, that looks good for me. So the text parameter will show up as the name of the plugin parameter, and the description kind of just provides additional context. So now onto the @help. That hasn't changed much between MV and MZ. So we're going to just copy all of this from the old, paste it into the new, and this will show up in your help section, which is viewable in your plugin parameters. And basically it helps the user with additional information, such as for this plugin we also have note tags, so we definitely should grab that and put that into the help section, as that's a great place to show it. However, plugin commands we don't need to show in the help section anymore because MZ handles them differently. I personally list out the core functionalities that I've either overwritten or modified. This just helps with debugging if anything goes wrong. I also keep a changelog. In this case, I'm going to make a reference to the 101 version of the MV plugin, just so I have a personal reference from where this code grew from. I'm adding a separator as well. Just for my own personal reference. It's so when I'm scrolling really fast, I know where my sections are. I've done this since MV days, and I'll most likely keep doing it through MZ. Then at the very next line is a console.log. I use that just so I can verify like the plugin actually got loaded up correctly. It helps with debugging, and it also helps with the user figuring out like what plugins they have actually loaded in the game. So now we're going to start the next section of code, basically adding your bit of your plugin into the imported object and saying your specific plugin as true. So we just got to set this to be victory text. There we go. Then this is where I put like my plugin stuff. So this would be SIRL, capital SIRL, dot victory text. So let's do that. That's my SIRL. There we go. Then I need this to be victory text. Okay, good enough. And then we just copy, paste, and put that in the comments. I don't think we're going to need a helper function for this specific plugin. And for MZ, they require a plugin name for a lot of locations, such as commands and other sections. So I just place it in the plugin object under .name. This is so that I don't have to worry about typos whenever I make the plugin name anywhere. So let's just get that to victory text. There we go. Awesome. Yep, that is good. That should work. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is load in some parameters. I grabbed the section break from another MZ plugin, so now we're just going to go line by line. The next section is something I do. When you're storing plugin parameters, you regularly store it in like the object for the plugin. However, on game load, it's going to load that object every time, which will reset any of your plugin parameters to your defaults. But if you have plugin commands that will change that in-game, you need to figure out a way to get it to the game save file. How I do that is by overwriting the game system file, which I already know will be saved into the game save file already. So this first line is just setting the original function for the game system initialization to a variable so that we can call it back later. And then the next line is going to be the overwriting function. This allows me to overwrite the original function. When I refer to this, I'm referring to the game system. And that will let me carve out my own little part of the game system so that when it saves it, that little part is part of my plugins, and I can make reference to that in the future whenever I need to load anything. So that's basically how I'm going to do like all my plugin parameters, saving and loading in the future, because I know it's going to remain. So the next part is going to be the specific my plugin. This is because I do this for all my plugins, and it just stores everywhere. Which reminds me, I need to put it as VT, not victory text, because I don't put victory text in my code. I put VT. So there we go. So now I have a section off underscore SIRL, and inside that I have a section off underscore my plugins. This will protect from other people using their methodology to overwrite my plugin parameters, because they would have to call $GameSystem.SIRL.VT to even get near it. I do meta as well. That's specifically for the plugin parameters, but it also does further division if I have like helpful functions or outside plugin parameters that I need to save. Now let's glance back at the MV code and see where we are. Okay, so these lines are nearly identical. So that's good. Everything else after it looks like it's where it's going to start looking different. Okay. So I'm going to go back and grab my MZ code just as a reference so that we can convert to MV to MZ, the MV code to MZ without me jumping back and forth. So the next line is identical. We are just loading up the plugin parameters. We have to update the name. There we go. Wait. I can actually use the soar.vt.name. I just need to make this a capital S because it has to match the actual plugin name. Okay, so now that that's done, we can just copy this and put it down right here so that I don't have to type it in because I'll make a typo. There we go. So now we're just going to load up some parameters in the game system. So this is just going to be _sorel.vt.meta. And then what did we call this? So we called it show devart vmessage. Okay. And we're just going to do this. I do a weird way of testing if a text is Boolean. So you don't have to do it this way. I most likely would do it in different ways in the future. But yeah. It's a little strange, but it's the best way I know how to do it. Or not the best. It's one of the ways I know how to do it, and there's 1,000,000,001 ways to skin this cat. So I do it this way. I actually might be changing it up in the future, but for right now, I'm just going to show it as is. Okay, so that's all good. And it looks really identical. Give me a second. Yeah, it's identical. So it looks like they haven't changed much between the setting of parameters between the two things. Which that's a good thing, because that means we can just copy and paste the rest of that and drop it in here. And that's that. I do need to change VT from lowercase vt. It looks like I changed my coding style over the time period between these two files. And the last line is just a callback to the original function. This is recommended so you don't have to overwrite the function completely, and that allows somebody else, if they need it to be a certain way, to not have to worry about your plugin changing it that way. So, plugin calls, they have changed greatly. So they now work with a register system, which we'll grab one of these just from an old MZ project, just so I can easily explain. Okay, so if we go back to the MV project, you can see how we have like this game interpreter and all that other stuff. That's no longer needed. We can now just use the plugin manager to register the command to a plugin name and a plugin command. It will pass the args that the window has provided, or the command has provided us. So instead of writing out a bunch of case switches and trying to figure out how to manage them, now we can just have a function with the command. So in this case, we can just take this function here and paste it in here. And now the code's done. We just update this to be true, and there we go, because we don't have any arguments. But the next part is going to be setting up the engine bit in the comments. So to do that, we have to go up to the comments, and I'm going to grab an MZ example again just to quicken up this video. I personally put a separator as well. So the et command has to be the same as the plugin command name. If they aren't the same, they won't connect, and that will cause problems as you'll have the plugin functionality saying something and not the actual code running. This command doesn't have any arguments, so we can remove that. So the et text is what the game developer will see when they bring up the plugin command window instead of the text field as it was in MV. And now we're pretty much done with a single plugin command. Oh, I forgot. We can also add a description now. So let's do that real quick. We're just going to basically describe what we already did. This gives more details to the developer to help understand what that command does. So there we go. Okay, so let's go over an argument-based command. So I'm going to grab some arg commands from MZ example I've written up prior. The et args is the name of the argument for when using a plugin registration. The argument must match the same as the variable you're going to use in your code, so in this case position. So now the other thing is the plugin commands are like the plugin parameters, params. They have the same et codes so as the arguments. So you get the option you would as a param, so like that. The game developer is going to see the text, so victory message position, and it will have a description, and it will take in a number which will be between the values of 0 and 2, and its default is going to be a 2. So as you can see in the code, we're going to use the args.position value as we set above. From us calling this instead of passing in a text argument without engine help, we can now bypass all of this code, and since the engine will do the check between the min and max value, we're pretty much done. Yay, MZ help. Now we just have to code the functionality from MB into MZ. This is mostly just going to be checking each line and seeing what functionality has changed. Of course, the first step is to see if it boots up, and it does. Awesome. That's good. Okay, so now we can minimize that, and start testing our code out. So MB version calls this function right here. So we can call this function in MZ, most likely. We're going to just yank this bit of code and just move it right into MZ. There we go. Plus the S, I forgot, sorry. So now we just let's try the first RM specific code. So that'd be the game, party, batters members. Yep. Okay, and that gives me a list of actors, which is what I expected. So now let's see about the next bit. The next bit's the game system values, which we already coded that, so we're good. So now let's check to make sure the actors have HP, which I'm pretty sure they do. Yep, cool. I'm showing states still have state IDs and all that. So that bit of code should work, and we're done. Awesome. Okay, so the next bit of code, okay, and this seems to only have the ARM code data. Actor gives it an index and get metadata, so we're gonna have to make sure MZ didn't change that bit of code up on us. Okay, so we just need to get the actor's ID from one of the batter's actors, and then we can use that to get the data from the actors, which then we just check to see if that gives us a meta, which should be the note tag. Let's see. Yep, okay, so we got a note and we got a meta. Okay, so now we just need to test that. So let's close out of this and close out of the game. And we need to see if the if we can set some metadata. So let's just copy this from MV because we don't want to change the functionality. We just want to change the engine. So there's some from MV, copy, paste it into here, there we go. Okay, let's test this again. So let's boot up the game. Okay, so now that the game's open, let's open up the console. There we go. And let's just go into a new game. There we go. And let's check to see if we get a note tag here. Yep, we do. Awesome. Which means that it will work just the same with no issues, which is great. Okay, so let's go to the next section, and we're looking for the first ARM specific code. It looks like it's going to be game message, so let's boot up, open up the console again. Okay, so we just need to type out the command and make sure it's the same function and it has the expected parameters. So in this case, it will be game message set face image. Yep. Okay, so the F shows that it's a function. And it has those two parameters. Let's check to see if our code needs those two parameters. Okay, let's see. It looks like it takes a face name and a face index. Yep, cool. So that will work, and we don't have to worry about that breaking. Awesome. The next few lines are just some default JavaScript, so that should just work. The next ARM specific code is set background, so let's check to see if that's a function. Yep, and it takes in a background, so that's going to work just fine. Now let's do set position type. It takes in a position type, so that's going to work just fine as well because that's what we're giving it. Okay, so let's do game message.add, takes in a text, so that's going to be working just fine. Now new page is a function. Yep, it's a function. Awesome, so that's gonna work. So that means everything's gonna work, so we can just copy paste now. So let's go in, select that, copy, paste. Awesome. So now the bottom bit, that's just us calling the original function, default JavaScript and all in variables, so we can copy paste that, close that function, and we are done, minus a few tests in game to make sure all the functionality is connected. But beyond that, we have a MV to MZ plugin converted over. So okay, so let's save the plugin. Awesome, so we can now test in the game in MZ. So let's put both engines side by side so it's easier to set up the testing. Okay, there we go. Now we need to add a battle. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, so let's just grab an image. Battle processing, sure, awesome, cool. Let's verify I'm doing the same there. I let you win, lose, and escape for repeated battles, so let's add that real quick. Done. Okay, and let's decrease the health of these guys so it's easier and quicker to test. There we go. And let's see what happens. Okay. Okay, everything working well. Okay, cool. So, kill that. Kill that one. Oops. Okay, what happened? Let's see. Okay. I'm sure it's something easy. Let's click on this and see what line of code this is. Okay, VT. I need to make that capital T, lowercase v. So I'm going to replace all the VTs, all the lowercase VTs with the uppercase VT. So let's quickly do that. Find replace. We're going to do, it's going to match, and we want it to replace with a lowercase v, capital T. And let's put dots on each side, beginning and end, to make sure it doesn't change anything that has like a word with BT in it. Okay, dot there, whoopsie. Dot there, and dot there. Cool. Replace all, and let's test again. Quickly save it. Okay, that should be good. We close this out, go to playtest, and this is basically it. We just cycle through the testing and verifying that it's compatible with other plugins now that are in MZ that wasn't in MV. So open this up. Okay, cool. Awesome. So that did exactly what we wanted. It didn't break. So now we just add some victory text to all actors. We'll just have them all repeat the same thing just for testing purposes. And paste and paste. Okay. Let's also go into the plugin parameters and just change them up from default. So let's hide the default one. We can let dead members still be dead. Position, let's put it at the top, and background, let's set that to transparent. Let's see, face that we can have. Let's go pig. We'll go pig. Okay, so that's 0, 1, 2, okay. So second index, okay. 2, and then how many do we want for the number of messages? 6, sounds good. Awesome, let's test again. Okay, it's booting up. Awesome. Let's see. Walk over there. Okay. Dead. Dead. Pig! Awesome! We did it. Cool. Now, we basically did a one-to-one conversion. There's areas we could have optimized and made it better compared to MV, but we're done. Have a good day. Bye.